Paleobites, the podcast with literal eons of material to cover, and yet only about 2 minutes of prep work from us. My name is Matthew Donald, and each episode, I and a rotating set of guest co-hosts talk about and rate a genus of prehistoric animal, be it dinosaur, mammal, arthropod, and so on. This week, I'm joined by the person who could probably go toe-to-toe with a dinosaur and win, Natasha Krech.
Well, that's putting it nicely, but I don't think I'd last against half those creatures.
I mean, you're a black belt, right?
That means nothing when it comes to dinosaurs and their raw muscle.
I guess, well, it depends on the dinosaur, I guess. If it's like a little Compsognathus, you could give it a good kick.
Yeah! Yeah.
That's a good question. Which I could ask you, because I always like to open up with a question that's about prehistoric creatures. What prehistoric creature would you want to fight with, and then you think you could win? That's not necessarily one that, like, you know you could win, but it's too easy, like the kick and something that gives you a good fight, but you're pretty confident you could win.
Well, unfortunately, the dinosaurs were all tooth and claw.
Yeah, exactly, so
there's no getting inside that. Say 5 of their 6 ends were usually pointy, unless you start getting to the armored dinosaurs, in which case all 6 of their ends were pointy.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, even the littler raptors, they still have those sickle claws,
yeah.
so they can dig that in you, it could do some damage.
Even with knight-like armor, you really don't stand much chance.
Oh, I got one. Coelophysis. Have you heard of that one?
Coelophysis, those little buggers.
Yeah, they're like, I don't know, like 6 or so feet long. They're not very big. They don't have the claws. They have kind of long necks. So you could just grab it as it would swerve. But it still has claws, so it could do some damage if it tried to.
If you underestimate the muscles in a hind leg, I mean, we still have the southern cassowary for a reason.
That's true. So I think Coelophysis might be good.
Coelophysis a human might stand a chance in a fight.
Well, I think you might too. You just give it, like, it's got a small head. You just aim a good kick at it, at its head, and then just go.
I imagine the little buggers are quite agile, though.
They're probably really fast, yeah. And this is a fight, so this one's trying to kill you. So,
yeah.
So it's not just trying to run away.
Equate it to a southern cassowary, in which case, ask all our friends in Australia what those tend to do.
I'd like to think a Coelophysis is slightly less dangerous than the cassowary, because its claws aren't quite as big.
Maybe, but you know.
But you never know.
I like to equate even the smaller dinosaurs to a cassowary or an emu or an ostrich. They're all dangerous.
Do you think you could beat any of them in a fight?
No.
Well, at least you know your place.
Let's just be honest. Anybody versus any of those birds, you're doomed. The Australians lost to the emu.
That's right, the emu war.
The emu war.
That's right, yeah. And in case you aren't aware, listeners, there was a time where, like, I think a bunch of emus kept raiding these farmers' crops. And so, this was in the 1930s, I think?
That sounds about right. Let me pull it up.
Yeah, bring it up. It's an interesting bit of dinosaur recent history. Dinosaurs fought a war and won. 1932, okay.
32.
They, the emus kept coming in.
In Western Australia.
The farmers declared open season on emu to try and get rid of them.
And they lost.
Because the emus kept coming, and they kept knowing when to run away, and they kept breeding, and they...
Yeah.
And some of them even fought back. There were battle plans from the farmers to try and get their nest. It was a whole war, and eventually it was declared emu victory.
But that's Australia.
I know, it's freaking Australia. Anyways,
we expect nothing short from them.
Yeah, most Australians are ashamed of this part of their history.
Or get a good laugh out of it. I've seen several internet jokes.
That's true. All right, so this week we're not talking about an emu, although that'd be probably pretty good. But we save it for extinct animals. So I guess, and we've proven we can't hunt down the emu. So who knows when it'll go extinct?
After us.
Yeah, exactly. They're going after us. But instead, we're talking about the near-crested lizard, Parasaurolophus. It's a pretty famous one, one of the most famous ones with a particularly long name. But we paleo nerds know that's nothing compared to some real mouthfuls. Like, how about Micropachycephalosaurus?
Yeah, those paleontologists.
Or Eostreptospondylus. Or, and there's no way in hell I'm saying this right, Opisthocoeliocata.
Hey, that's better than I can do.
Yeah, here, look at this thing.
I'm sure they're mashing a couple languages together.
Yeah, Opisthocoeliocata.
Yeah, I'm not even trying.
Yeah, like, what is that thing?
Hey, paleontologist, lay off the alcohol.
Well, there's also just Y-I, so...
Yeah, but at least coming from China, that makes sense.
That's true, China, yeah. Okay, so Parasaurolophus is a hadrosaurid, which is also informally known as a duck-billed dinosaur. It's one of the crested duck-billed dinosaurs. Although we're finding out lately there's more of a blending between them. The line between them is more blurred than we might think. Parasaurolophus edmontosaurus, which was thought for the longest time to be the quintessential crestless duck-billed dinosaur, we found it has a fleshy crest in the back. So...
amazing what the fossil record can preserve once in a while.
Exactly. It was 30 feet long, or 9 meters. It was an herbivore, as, you know, it's... I don't know why I need to say diet. Most of the time it's pretty obvious. One time it wasn't. I did Eoraptor. Do you remember Eoraptor?
Vaguely.
It's the very first dinosaur we think. And it's actually an omnivore. I thought it was a carnivore, but apparently it's an omnivore. So
that makes sense.
Yeah, the diet for that one was interesting. It lived in the Late Cretaceous, 76 to 73 million years ago. It missed out on the meteor, so that's good. It just went extinct beforehand. What a loser.
Oh no. Didn't get to see the good part.
Exactly, the real finale of the Cretaceous, and for a lot of animals, life in general. It was found in Alberta, Canada, New Mexico, and Utah, and also possibly China. There's it's unconfirmed fossils that look a lot like Parasaurolophus. They could also be the relative Chironosaurus.
Or it could be a case of convergent evolution.
Exactly. So,
which has been known to happen.
But the two continents were linked, I think, back then. The Bering Strait was still a thing, and although, actually no, the Bering Strait wouldn't have been there because that's all about sea level. But there is a lot of overlap between Asia and North America in terms of dinosaur fossils. So somehow they were connected. Mm-hmm. But yeah, no, it wouldn't be the Bering Strait. That's right, because the sea level would have to be really low for that thing to be down. That's what happened in the Ice Age.
Yes.
And this was dinosaur times. There were no polar ice caps, so the sea levels were quite higher than they are now. It was described in 1922. Funny thing, I'm writing a story that takes place in 1922 currently. I'll just leave it at that. Who needs context? Okay.
Context is for the poozers.
Exactly. It's for cowards, somehow. I don't know how. Pop culture appearances, a lot, such as Jurassic Park, first movie onward, although it's only briefly seen the first movie.
It's more famous in Land Before Time thanks to a little dinosaur named Ducky.
Well, that's the thing. I was actually going to bring Land Before Time up, but it's actually contentious whether that's a Parasaurolophus or not, because the crest is a lot shorter.
Well, mind you, understanding of dinosaurs has come a long way, even since the 90s.
Right, but it could be, it probably is, based on the fact that all the other dinosaurs in that herd are very stock, famous dinosaurs, like Apatosaurus, Triceratops, Stegosaurus.
Well, and we do actually see some proper Parasaurolophus in some of the movies.
Yeah, some of them they have the proper length crest, but some of them they have the really short crest. Like you see Ducky's mother in the first movie when she's hatching, and she also has a really short kind of knobby crest. So it's theorized that instead of Parasaurolophus, it's the Asian version, which has similar looking crest. It's called Saurolophus. Because it looks a lot like a Saurolophus, but that'd be weird though, because
when was that one discovered?
We knew about it then. Mm-hmm. Like Parasaurolophus, as well as Neocrested lizard, also means like Saurolophus. So it was discovered before Parasaurolophus. But that'd be weird to have 4 very stock, famous dinosaurs and then one random weird one in that group.
Especially without making it dramatically distinct.
Yes.
Because I know that they liked to do that, even with a similarly related species.
Right.
They liked drama, because kids' movies.
Right, exactly. So it's contentious whether or not that Ducky is a Parasaurolophus or a Saurolophus. I tend to think she is a Parasaurolophus, though, because of the whole, that makes it 5 stock dinosaurs, and also that's just a weird choice, and also it could be an artistic decision.
It could be, because, sometimes in movies, even with the fossils, we can't tell male from female with the fossils.
Right, exactly. And I think they think that the Parasaurolophus females did have a lot shorter crest. They weren't quite that short.
Probably not.
But they were shorter, so that's maybe what Don Bluth or the other animators might have heard and just made it really short.
So maybe they also were playing sarcastically on a bun on the end of Ducky's mother's crest.
Right, exactly.
Sarcastically.
Maybe, I don't know. So
somebody get the animators on the phone. Let's talk dinosaurs.
Let's find out what their secret is with this. What was it going on in their minds as they were animating this? As well as there's also the the quote-unquote live-action hardcore version, Disney's Dinosaur. They were in that.
I remember that.
I love that movie. Some people don't like it, but I love it. The music
it was a fun movie.
The music's amazing in that movie. And
they had some pretty decent voice actors. I'll give them that.
And also really good graphics, even at the time. Even now, it still looks pretty good.
It still holds up decently. It's aging well.
Yes.
Not a lot of movies age well.
Right.
We've all got that list.
Exactly. But yeah, like I said, it's also in the first Jurassic Park movie and all of them onwards. Although in the first movie, it's only seen in the distance after you see the Brachiosaurus for the first time, and then he looks at the lake and there's the herd, and he says they're moving in herds. That's when you see Parasaurolophus there.
Only a glance, though.
Yeah, exactly.
So I suspect that one was done a computer and a green screen, but I don't know.
Later on, they've had them more in later movies. Like in The Lost World, they rope one down and
Yes, I do remember that. I know they also make some pretty distinct appearances in Dinotopia.
Oh, that's true. Yes, they do. Yes. But Dinotopia is also good. That uses famous ones and also really obscure ones. So that's neat. Anyways, this is in the group known informally as the duck-billed dinosaurs, as I said. That's hence where Ducky got her name. But while it's a pretty famous member, it's actually probably one of the most famous one. It's also kind of a rare find in fossil-wise, only known from a handful of good specimens, which is kind of interesting. Presumably it lived in herds, though, despite it only finding it rarely, because we have evidence of other hadrosaurs living in herds too, browsing on leaves and getting eaten by tyrannosaurs like Albertosaurus on a daily basis, I presume.
Probably, depending on, if we could find out the hit rate of the Allosaurus.
Right. Most of the time in documentaries and other movies, these kind of dinosaurs are just mainly cannon fodder for the meat eaters.
Yeah.
That's one of the things I was trying to avoid in my books, my Megazoic books, which I'll talk about later. I was one of the main characters is an Edmontosaurus, which is another duckbill, and he can go toe-to-toe in a fight several times.
I mean, that's the fun of fiction, though.
Right.
You can change it up.
Well, yes, in my books it's a sci-fi, so one of the things is he does have a gun, so that would also help. But there's one instance in the third book where he loses his gun, and he has to, and what does I say? There's this enemy that he has to beat. It's this big robot, and he's like, true, he had to relinquish his gun, but he was still a 6-ton dinosaur, and so he goes towards it with his bare hands, and so.
Yes, that scene, I remember actually attempting to draw that one out.
Oh, that's right,
something
you did.
Of a Megazord.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
Hint, I'm a total Power Rangers nerd.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. So as for what the hell this Parasaurolophus's big, long tube-like head crest is for, there are a few theories. Some doofuses at first thought that it was used as a snorkel, since they thought dinosaurs were more water-based back in the day. But
I actually saw some books as a kid in the 90s with those illustrations. It's actually pretty hilarious.
It is, because they also forgot to check a very important detail. There was no hole at the top.
No, there's no hole at the top of the head at all.
Kind of puts a damper on that theory.
I mean, I'm sure they did spend some time grazing aquatic vegetation, but they sure as heck couldn't breathe.
Yeah, exactly. Although there was sound through it because it went through the nasal chambers, so a lot of times we think it's used for amplifying their cries for communication, as well as for visual display. Like I said, the males had bigger ones than the females. So
well, based on the fact that we have done MRIs and CT scans of their skulls and shown all that to me, it would make more sense for communication. Right,
and it's a mix of communication and display, because a lot of there were several duckbills that had similar crests, but some of them had very different ones.
This is true. Some were quite insane.
So some of them were more for display, but some of them were also for that. Also, sometimes it's depicted with a skin flap from the back of the crest to the neck.
Yeah, I've seen those depictions.
Although others say this idea sounds unlikely, but I like it with a skin flap, though, so sue me.
I mean, to each their own, and until it's proven otherwise, have fun with that interpretation.
Why not? Have feathers back there. Nah, probably not. But.
Nah, probably not. Not with this species. It doesn't seem likely to have feathers.
Right, although you never know. I think they've read that possibly feather... I think I've read there was a species of pterodactyl that was found to have feathers. Not a lot of them, they have what are called pycnofibers, I think. Uh-huh. Or pycnofibers, I don't know how to pronounce it.
I've heard those, and I've heard the name protofeather before.
Right. So they think they had more like hair, but one of them, actually, they confirmed it is feathers, which is huge because pterodactyls and dinosaurs are closely related. They're not the same thing, but back in the day, there was a branch that they split apart from each other, and that implies that branching reptile did have feathers too, if both pterodactyls and dinosaurs had feathers.
That means pterodactyls even carried the gene for it.
Right. Which also means if it was even that far back that there were feathers, it could potentially mean that all dinosaurs had feathers at some point.
This is true, and that could make things very interesting.
Although, long necks, I find it a bit hard to believe that they had feathers.
I believe, yeah.
Or any creature that big, because of like insulation, you'd overheat.
Yeah, even to say it had a downy coating, that seems like it would be pushing it.
I mean, like elephants, they don't have much fur, so...
No, they have a few stray hairs here and there.
Yeah. Like, so that's the thing, maybe it had like a... Maybe the long necks had like a sort of like a lining of feathers up their head and back,
That's
maybe?
possible, or even little just tufts here
On their
and there.
tail, yeah, or something, yeah, but...
Tail, knees.
Sometimes I draw them with that, but... Yeah, so maybe Parasaurolophus had feathers, although I don't know where. One dinosaur that I'm assuming probably didn't have feathers based on how it looks is probably the Ankylosaurus.
Yeah, most likely. I mean, we've got things like rhinos around today.
Yeah, where would they be? Like, where would those feathers be?
I don't think they'd have them at all.
Yeah, that's...
I know that Ankylosaurus and crocodiles aren't related, but heaven's sake. Even a crocodile has no place for feathers.
Exactly. Yeah, so that's basically Parasaurolophus. We had a lot to talk about in this one, actually. More so than Giganotosaurus last time you were on, which was kind of weird.
This one's better known, I suppose.
Yeah, although, yeah, maybe, I don't know. But so we're at the point of we're at everyone's favorite part of the show, maybe, I don't know, where we rate it 1 out of 65 million. For whatever reason we like. I like to bring in, different reasons why, and one of the reasons I brought up before is sexiness. And this one, I mean, no, that Crest is pretty sexy, so I think it gets points for that.
Crest. I'm
Nice
also
curve.
gonna say a lot of points for the fact that all the theories this poor thing went through,
Right.
and even still exist.
Right, but at the same time, though, I think I might give it like a 45 million, just because there was that one I was mentioning, that Chironosaurus from Asia. It's like Parasaurolophus, but bigger. Like, it was like 40 feet long. So, this one isn't even the best version of it. It's well known, but also that whole thing with Land Before Time with Ducky, that makes it all confusing. So, I'm going to give it 45 million.
I'll give it about a 40. It just loses points for that insane snorkel theory.
Yeah, I mean, that's not its fault, but...
No.
but...
No. And it's almost too well known.
Oh, right. So when we eventually do T-Rex, you're going to be like, hot take, 10 million! Ah!
I mean, depends on if I'm in for that one, but
no,
why
we'll
not?
see.
Maybe in the comment section.
Yeah, exactly. Speaking of comments, we can talk about how you can get a hold of us here. You can email us at mattd@matthewdonCreator.com if you want to find me on social media. Follow me at MatthewDonCreator on Facebook, at MatthewDon64 on Twitter, and MatthewDon64 on Instagram. You can email me, you can email Natasha. We give her some dinosaurs to fight. So,
Oh, come on, I know people who would put up a more entertaining fight than me. I'm just a sorry sod who's only started their journey.
Email her to get those people involved in your dino fighting ring. Also, if you're interested in writing, I have another podcast called The Writ Wit, where 2 twits talk about writing. The other twit is not present, but I'm trying to get him in. It's a matter of time. I'm gonna hold his family hostage now.
Well, this is the internet. Nobody takes us seriously.
Or too seriously. They might take us too seriously.
Yeah.
That's true. Like, oh my gosh, the FBI's on our doors. Ah!
Yeah, those nutters who take us too seriously need to lighten up a bit.
Yeah, just come on.
Come hang out in Colorado.
The world's too serious as it is. Yeah, come to Colorado, get high.
It's legal. We don't care.
Yeah, exactly. Finally, as I mentioned earlier, I have a book series on Amazon, Megazoic, who, as Natasha mentioned, she illustrated too. At the top of each chapter is a little picture that says a little bit about the chapter, kind of like Harry Potter is what I was going for. So you can find it on Amazon for print and Kindle. Leave a review, give it a buy, support it, or don't. Live your lives. It's a free country. But, it's also a capitalistic country, so I would very much appreciate you to give some of your hard-earned money.
Support your local artist.
Yeah, exactly. It's a hard world for us. Anyways, all right, that's it for this episode. As we say at the end of every episode of Paleo Bites, I don't know what that was. Oh, very fitting for Parasaurolophus. Oh, that sounded more like a moose.